Several months ago, I described how I terminated things with my ex. My wife was cheating on me with a colleague, so I followed her. After unsuccessful attempts to confront her, I decided to leave and ghost her. We had separate accounts and no common assets, allowing for a clean breakup. I relocated from a shared flat to a plot of land and a caravan purchased from a friend. After her trip, all that remained was a note and my wedding band. Since then, I've had a great living situation as a remote worker in a technical field. I can work from anywhere and fly whenever needed, as long as I have good internet service, which I fortunately have. I had a conversation with a mutual friend about my ex-wife's affair, which did not go well for her or the guy she was cheating with. I stopped her from telling me more because I didn't want to hear about it. She also mentioned that my ex wants to contact me and get back together, begging for my forgiveness, etc. I didn't believe her since she was AD. I warned her not to disclose she'd seen me, and she agreed. I don't want to talk to or see my ex again. However, 3 days ago, I spotted her at a coffee shop in a tiny town near where I live. It's a recreational tourism area, but it's several hours from where she lives. Is this a coincidence? I almost stopped in for a coffee, but she was on her phone and didn't recognize me. I turned on my heel and left, thinking I was untraceable. I've been talking to a counselor about my flight mode when dealing with my ex. I just wanted to update on the situation with my ex. I've rewritten this a few times to make it easier to read. As I mentioned in my previous post, I was worried that my ex-wife was trying to track me down. I've moved about 2 hours away from where we used to live. I saw her last weekend in a coffee shop that I often go to near where I live. I was suspicious that it wasn't a coincidence that she was there, but I left before she saw me. One eye. Came back into town this past weekend to grab a few groceries and get a coffee at my usual spot. I was working on some documents with their free internet, and after finishing, I left the coffee shop. As I walked towards my truck, I heard someone yell Paul, and looked across the street where I saw my ex Kathy waving at me. It was like the end of the world. I was in shock. She ran across the street, reaching out for a hug, but I instinctively held my arms out, palms up, and she stopped. She looked really hurt. Then she said, Paul, the first have been looking for you. I heard you moved out here and wanted to see you. Can we talk? I felt trapped. I decided to go along with it and said, Leighton, find a table and talk for a minute. She asked if we could go to my place, and I told her no. We sat on a bench outside of a little shop. She started by saying how much I've changed and how much she loves my new look. The woman complimented me on my appearance, including my beard. She apologized for the affair, claiming that karma had caught up with her. After I left, her company learned of the affair and fired her. Her partner, who had a child at the time, blamed her for his situation and told his boss. I just sat there looking around, not knowing what to say. She straightened up and stared at me for a bit. I asked her what she wanted from me. She said she never meant to get involved in an affair. She felt drawn in by the politics and positioning in the company and thought the affair partner had manipulated her with his charisma and power. She thought she was using him as much as he was using her. She wanted to come clean with me, especially after I accused her of having an affair. She was really struggling with the whole affair thing. She felt like she was at fault and that she'd been manipulated by her partner. She was drinking a lot after work to try to numb the pain. When I left, she felt really alone and like her heart had been torn out. She ended things with her affair partner because I wasn't in touch with her or speaking to her. She felt she had to find me to see if she could make things right and start over. She knew we were divorced, but hoped we could have a clean slate. I just stared at her, then I let her have it. I'm paraphrasing the conversation, but here's what I said. How dare you think you can just come out here and wipe away all the crap you caused? I'm not meant to forgive everything you did to ruin our marriage. As I told you before, if you cheated on me, we were finished. There's no forgiveness, no chance of us getting back together. You killed it. You destroyed what we had the minute you stepped out on me. How stupid do you think I am? I followed you one night and saw I suddenly realized I was raising my voice and people were starting to notice. She started to sob and grab my arm. So I let her cry on my shoulder for a little while before nudging her away. She looked up at me and said, I deserve all of this. I know I do. Can you at least let me take you to dinner? I don't want to leave. I want to talk more. I want to make sure we have everything out in the open. I need time with you that you didn't give me before. Please. Paul, the first, no, you may not want to hear this, but I love you so much. I didn't realize how much I loved you until you went. You broke me, and I broke you. I feel just as awful. I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive myself." She started hyperventilating and sobbing so badly that I pulled her up and held her. I know. I felt like that was the only thing I could do to calm her down at that moment. I realized I did actually break her heart. Like she said, we started walking and found a quiet path where things settled down a bit. I then asked her how she found me and if she had hired a PE or something. She laughed a little and said no, but she thought about it. She had run into Stacy a couple of weeks ago and asked her how things were going. Stacy let it slip that Kathy made her tell me everything. Stacy didn't want to because I told her not to, but she wouldn't let her go until she did. All she really knew was that she saw me here in town and that I live somewhere nearby. So Kathy started coming here on her days off to see if she could find out more. She blushed when she said that. I chuckled to myself, thinking Stacy can't keep her trap shut. We went to dinner. We found a nice little place with a patio. I made sure we didn't drink anything. I didn't want any excuse for her to soften me up or claim she was too drunk to drive back. We actually had a good chat afterwards. I walked her to her car. She wanted to stay and asked me about it, but I told her I wasn't ready. She said she hadn't been with anybody else since I left and that I was the only one for her. I told her I wasn't ready for that yet. She asked me to see her again, but I said no. I gave her my new email address, but that was if she wanted my phone number. But I told her no, as she was already blowing it up with texts and calls she was pretty upset about that. She said she would be back in town next weekend if I was interested. I didn't say anything to that. She said she would email me and tell me all the details of when and where. Before she left, I asked her point blank if she would forgive me if I had done the cheating. She sat there thinking and then said yes, she would in time, but only if we saw a marriage counselor or work through the healing process with lots of talking and maybe even a binding agreement. I said, okay, maybe I could do that 5 to 10 years from now. She said if that's what it would take, she would wait. Then she took my hands in hers and looked me in the eye and said something that really surprised me. God damn it, Paul, the first will always love you and will do anything to prove it. She left. I'm still so shaken by that. She said it with such conviction. I still can't see myself. I feel better about getting back with her, but I can't even see her as a friends with benefits, maybe a friend. But I just don't know if we could ever work out again. Don't label me a chump, since second chances are scarce. I returned home after a long run and a few drinks, feeling good about myself. Can someone assure me that she won't destroy it? I don't know. It's still fresh in my memory, but I have time to process and get perspective. This will likely be my last update. I posted my story on Reddit, but the moderator removed it. After over a year of being ghosted by me, my wife found me and we talked. She wanted to reconcile and restart our life together. Those who predicted that I would be the typical beta blue pill fool forgiving her and falling back in with her will be disappointed. She did write to me and sent me a long email this week, saying she loved me and regretted the affair. My response was to shut her down. I've been happy living on my own for now in my remote location and keeping my situation as simple as possible. I've enjoyed the company of several women and friends, and at 32, I don't feel like I need to change things up. I've got my own life. We've decided to stick to our guns for now. I told her I wasn't giving her my new number. I laid it all out. I said I don't want to reconcile. She made her bed and I don't trust her. I don't know her. I wish her the best and will consider her a possible friend. Maybe someday. My vagueness really frustrated her. She replied with something very telling. She was, of course, thoroughly disappointed in me. She also told me she'd taken a job offer in another state and that she'd always wanted me to come with her. She knows I can work remotely and that I can live anywhere I choose. She thought I'd consider coming with her, and then we'd have a fresh start in a new place. She didn't have much time left before she'd have to leave and wanted to see me in person and convinced me to come with her. Fortunately for me, I have to leave for business for a week, so our time is up. Thankfully, she'll be out of my life now. I imagine I'll get a few more emails for a bit longer, but I believe she'll realize her time with me has expired and she'll have to find someone else. She may even cheat on them too. I just wanted to share the update. To live your best life, let go of old baggage and empower yourself to move forward. It's important to remember that cheating with another cheater creates a relationship based on lies, deceptions, and ego. I wish you the best of luck in finding someone new and enjoying your life to the fullest.